So thank you for joining and welcome to LeadDev Bookmarked. LeadDev is a global community of engineering leaders who come together to discuss all things leadership, teams, tools, and tech. Bookmarked is our monthly book club that takes place on the first Tuesday of every month. Our sessions cover an array of engineering and leadership books that our awesome LeadDev audience can draw insights and practical experiences from. I'm Suzan Bond, the host of Bookmarked. I'm a former COO of a scaling startup and an executive coach. My specialty is tech leaders. You can find me on Twitter at Suzan Bond. You can see the way it's spelled there. Today we'll be talking about helping juniors get started in tech. And we're going to have a little bit of a different conversation today because we're going to talk a little bit more about Amarachi's personal experience. And the book, while the book is about helping folks get started into it, what we really want to do is understand how we can help them, how senior leaders, senior developers, managers can help juniors get started. So a little bit about that. But if you have questions for Amarachi, please pop them in the Q&A feature on Zoom and I will filter them through. I also wanted to take this opportunity to mention the exciting return of in-person LeadDev events. It's been 2 years. LeadDev will be back in New York from the 4th to the 8th of April, delivering 3 events: the flagship LeadDev event, the First Person Staff Event Plus, and the new launch of Leading Eng event. For more information about the dates and programs, head over to the events page on leaddev.com. So, okay, finally to the person who's sitting with me here, Amarachi Amaechi is a front-end developer who is focused on transforming UI designs into code and building applications that are scalable, accessible, and user-friendly. She is extremely passionate about building tools for developers, writing, speaking, and building developer communities. Amarachi is an international speaker who has spoken at many meetups and conferences worldwide. She is an author who recently published an ebook, Getting Started in Tech, a guide to building a tech career. She writes about web development, blockchain technologies, and personal development. Amarachi also organizes Vue.js Nigeria, a front-end developer community. When she's not coding or studying new technologies on the web, you can find her watching documentaries, movies, trying out new food recipes, and reading. I'm really excited to have you here. Finally, we get to chat. Thanks for being patient.
Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, so as I said, we're going to talk a little bit different than some of the other books and authors that we've had here. So I'm really curious about, was working in technology part of your career plan when you college? Like when you went to college, was that what you were going to do?
Yeah, so basically no. So I studied accounting. And right from small, because my father is an accountant, so automatically the passion was I was drawn to what he loved doing because as an accountant, everything he was doing, calculating money, calculating figures, and all this other stuff. So I grew interest from my dad. And then from small, I've always said, okay, I want to be a banker, I want to be an accountant. Anything that involves figures was something I really wanted to get involved in. And so I opted for accounting and finance in the university. And I got admission into school accounting, I don't know about now how maybe advanced they are, but in school, you don't tend to get access to like technologies. There are accounting softwares, they are like, but in school where I studied, you will have to, use paper and biro to, calculate figures, come up with answers and all that. But I'm sure in some advanced stages, you need to use softwares like a computer system and all that to be able to, yeah. So I wasn't, no, it wasn't planned.
Yeah, that's so interesting. By the way, my dad was a design engineer, mechanical engineer, and he was always disappointed that none of his kids went into engineering. Not one of them went into engineering. So, it's so interesting. Although none of us ever thought we would when we went to school right away. So, how did you come to, you at some point, like, how did you realize? And when did you realize, oh, I want to look at technology? Was it during your degree? Was it after degree? Like, how did that process evolve for you, in thinking about your career?
Okay, so basically it was during my time in college. So my school in year three, my school usually give us like I think 3 to 4 months break from August to like November, and so they say, okay, go spend your time doing anything you like. So within that 3 to 4 months, we're about entering final year, and so the head of department came out. I was like, okay, since you guys are entering final year, why don't you guys go look for something meaningful, more like going look for a company that can hire you on internship basis, so they can teach you, real life accounting practices, because school is teaching you the traditional way, and it's different when you come into the labor market. When you start working, you work with softwares, but school is not teaching you with that software. So they said, okay, go out and use and learn how to use this software. So I was about entering my final year. Then I first month in, I was looking for a job in accounting, and then I wasn't seeing I'll call my friends and they're like, oh, I'm working in A and B company, I'm working here, I'm working there. And then it was more like it was so difficult for me. I kept looking for like opportunities just to learn, and I was even ready to learn for free. But each places I went to, it's either they're saying, oh, we don't have a slot for accounting, but if you have IT skills, we can consider. So I think I heard that about 4 times from 4 different firms. So and then that started growing my curiosity, and I was like, IT skills. I don't have any IT skills, but at the end of the day, there's nothing that someone can learn. So I have a friend who I know is into IT. He codes a whole lot. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, this is what I'm actually going through. It's been 2 months looking for like internship, and then school will soon ask us to resume for our final year. And I really can't. I don't want my whole 4 months to be a waste. Is there something I can actually learn within this short period before I go back to school? And also, this is what I've been hearing. Why I've like in the process of looking for accounting job, they're saying I should go get an IT skill, and because of that, I'm now curious. So and then so he explained stuff to me, told me different parts I can actually, and then front end caught my interest, and so that was how I started my journey. So I won't say while in school, because after I started the journey, I started taking classes online and the rest. I won't say that was my final year, and in final year there are a whole lot of things involved in final year, from writing your degree exam to doing your project to defending your project and all that. So I won't say I was deep. I was fully 100% focused in trying to transition. At that time, I was only trying to get the skill. I wasn't so sure if after school I want to do accounting, or if after school I want to go into the IT field fully. So it was once I was done with like I was still learning, but part time, maybe 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day. I was just putting in little effort compared to when I was out of school, where you had the whole time to yourself where you can easily. So it was after school, after I've defended my project, results are out. I had to ask myself, now I have 2 parts to follow. Should I go into accounting and should I go to IT? And then I did my research and everything. And based on all I've been told in the period I was looking for a job, I said, okay, I think the right path right now for me to go or follow is the IT, in the sense that tech is broad, right? I can be in IT and also in one way or the other have an impact in the accounting sector. So when I looked at and gauged the whole stuff, I decided that okay, I think IT is the next way forward, and that was how I started my journey.
Well, yeah, so it sounds like you were self-taught. So you taught
Yes, so
yourself the skills. Yep.
yeah.
So how did you go from, okay, you made the decision, and then how did you get your first tech job?
Oh, interesting. So
Mhm.
I finished school 2019, and late 2019 November, and then it's January, right? It's a new year 2020, and everybody gets excited. Everybody set new goals. Everybody's excited about what the new year holds, and so that was me in 2020. I was super excited, and I was like, okay, one of the goals I hope to achieve this year was one to get a job in tech, and some other stuff which includes speaking and other things. And so I put it out there. I put it out there just to keep myself accountable, right? And I was lucky enough when I put it out there, people reached out and I was like, hey, we saw you posted your goals for the year, and your number one goal is to get a job in tech. We can help you get that. Oh, there's an interview at social company, or there's a position at social company for a junior developer. If it's something want to go for. And that was how I was able to, I went for the interview process because I don't have any previous experience or anything. So it's just more like a conversation to know where my strength lies and where my weaknesses lie. And then, so that was how I was able to get my first job. So it was through the internet.
Wow. So did you know the people that you got your first job with, or no? It was just, yeah, got it. Yeah.
They just reached out to me on LinkedIn and that was it.
Right. So, what made you write the book? What made you think about that, writing that?
Yeah, that's very interesting because when I transitioned and then I got a job, it's more like it was so clear now that it's possible, right? That someone can actually study accounting, and then in a few months you're already working in the tech sector. So it was really so clear, and I was so excited because I finished in November, and by March I already got my first role as a front end developer associate, and so I was super excited and. I was so excited that I had to write an article. I wrote an article how I transitioned from an accounting student to front end developer, and then till today the article I keep getting reviews from Medium. Oh, so and so people viewed your till today. It's like my highest read article till today, even if I've written tons of other articles, but that one every single
Mhm.
day more like, and people still reach out to me. And so when I published the article, people were, and then I also made a tweet that, hey, I finally got a job from Hype. No, okay, yeah. I think I should retrace my step back. When I got the job, I tweeted how I transitioned from accounting to front-end developer.
Mm.
So me just trying to tell people, and then my DM was choked. I had over 100 people reaching out to me from finance, from different sectors. How did you do it? How did you do it? We've been trying to transition, but it doesn't look clear. How did you do it? And so, because I was trying to answer each and every one, I saw that it was actually time consuming. I managed to quickly rush and put some stuff into an article and shared with each and every one of them. But you are limited to numbers, right? You can just write maybe for people to really read the article, you can just write maybe 1,000, 2,000. Anything really long, people won't really sit to read that. So, and I noticed even after that phase, people kept on reaching out to me every time. My DM, hey, I saw you transition from accounting to this. How did you do it? How did you do it? So I get the question like a whole lot. And I keep answering that same question over and over and over again. So late 2020, I thought of an idea. Okay, how about compiling this whole thing together into an ebook? And so if anybody asks, you can just give them the book to read, and from there you'll be able to
Yep.
understand how you're able to transition. So that was how the idea for the book came in, and then in 2021 January to March I sat down and I wrote the book and then published it. And I'm so happy I did that because at least it has been so helpful to me and to others, because people have reached out to me, oh, I read your book. And some people reach out to me, oh, I want to start a career in tech, but I don't know where or what to do, because most people, once they hear tech, they feel you must write code, right? So in my book I have about 20 different tech areas that one can, which I divided into engineering, products, design, and others, which involve technical writing, tech sales, and all that stuff. So yeah, once someone reach out to me that, hey, I'm trying to get into tech, I don't know where to start from, I don't want to code. A lot of people say that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. In my book, there are about 20 careers there. You can actually go look at it and see the one you feel might be
Yep.
interesting to you, and then make more research from there. And so yeah, so that was how the whole writing of the book came about.
Well, as we move more towards kind of giving some insights to folks who might be mentoring and managing and leading more junior engineers, what was your first year like, on the job?
I would say it was really intense because there were days where I would cry and say,
Mm.
should I just go back? Like
Mm.
crazy stuff, learning like JavaScript, learning doing things that in your life you never thought that okay you were going to do. So seeing this stuff like writing how to code, learning new languages, learning new framework and all that. So it was difficult at a point. It was really, really difficult, I would say. And so there were days where I'll cry and run to my mentor. I'll say, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think I want to go back to accounting, because after all, accounting is figures. We all know one, two, three. We all know one plus one. We all know two plus two and all that. So I could relate with accounting man. I was like, but with encouragement, motivation, and then my mentor would tell me that hey, to tell you the truth, even me as a senior, there are sometimes that it's actually challenging. So it's not just you feeling that way. A lot of us are actually like feeling like this. So, all those encouragement was what actually kept me going. So yeah, I'll
Mm.
say the first year was a bit challenging, but yeah.
Yeah, and especially I was thinking about your mentor saying, even as a senior, I still feel times where I don't know something or it's confusing, and that's really wonderful. And what do you think that managers can do to better support junior folks, or
Okay,
also
so right.
mentors too, like maybe like even senior engineers who are pairing with juniors? Both, you can, however angle you want to take that.
Okay, one thing, and to get the question straight, are you saying junior engineers they've hired or the ones they are yet to hire,
The
or
ones that
in
they've
general?
hired, the ones they've
Oh,
hired, like once they're managing or mentoring somebody.
okay, oh great, that's. So junior engineers they've hired, how managers can actually help these people grow basically is by, you know, um, providing them with the right resources. Maybe the
Mm.
first few months, giving them resources. If the company is using A or B framework, and this person is entirely new to this particular, framework or frame or technologies, providing them with the right resources they can use to, understand basic concepts, and then also assigning someone, because manager might really not have the time, but assigning a developer or a senior engineer or someone maybe more advanced than the junior to be able to, so the junior can always have a someone who he can ask questions, because as a junior you always have questions to ask. You are curious at that point, you want to know a lot of things, and if you are in an environment where everybody is like independent, nobody's collaborating, so the junior will actually be scared that if I ask a question I might be judged that, oh, I'm not learning fast or I'm not picking up things the right way. So I think, oh, having a collaborative environment where people can learn, where people can ask questions without being scared of being judged might actually work.
Yeah, and I heard there too, almost like, and I don't know if, did you say something like maybe like a buddy, like assigning somebody or making sure they have one person, a senior, maybe a senior to talk to, or did I hear
Yeah,
that
more
right?
like it's not like assigning directly. You
Mm,
can just put it in an informal way and say, okay, in case you have any question, then
got it.
ask, because in a team of engineers, right, or in a team of tech, in a tech or IT team, there are designers, there are developers, there are product managers. So if the junior is a junior engineer and maybe front end, and there's a senior front end engineer, so you can easily just say, in case you have like any question or difficulties, this is the right person that can actually assist you in that particular aspect. If it's a backend, you can say, okay, this is the right person. So just informal introduction, so that the junior don't go start asking a senior designer that, oh, I'm having issues with my stuff. So it has to be the right person in the team. That's, yeah, so it's nothing really serious, it's informal, but yeah, just, yeah.
Making it a little like easier, or warming it up,
Yes,
like a
one
warm
welcome.
introduction.
Yes,
So you
exactly.
don't feel like you're just walking up to somebody randomly and asking for
Yeah.
questions, so to speak. Yeah. Got it. Well, so what are some like signs that senior developers, managers, leaders can look out for that might indicate a junior engineer needs some more support?
Okay, can you rephrase? Let me get it
Yeah,
right.
like how would they know? How might somebody know? Let's say a junior doesn't feel like they have somebody, or they feel like maybe they're struggling a little bit. What are the couple of signs that we should look out for?
Okay, well, sign it's dependent, but one thing I can say is, if
Mm.
a manager or an engineering lead can, or whoever is in charge of the particular department can, call or have a one-on-one section, because I feel when someone have a one-on-one section, asking the junior how he or she feel about their journey so far, where they are having challenges, people tend to talk, even if you are trying to preserve stuff. But once your manager comes to you asking you how they can help you grow, people would definitely say something. And so I think with the feedback gotten from the junior, maybe the junior can say, okay, maybe I'm not being given enough time, maybe nobody's checking on my work and nobody's reviewing the code I write. They are just saying, okay, it's nice, no detailed feedback. So all these things, the feedback the junior can give differ. So with all these things, I think having a one-on-one section If the organization is so large, it can just be within a particular sector, team, a particular small team, maybe saying, okay, this senior engineer, talk to this person and see how the person feel or how we can help the person grow. Because I think it's the signs are different. What I can say it's a sign might be different from. So just asking for feedback from that particular person might actually help.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's true that there are different signs. I heard two things in there that you said. One, which is like those one-on-ones are really important. That's that opportunity when they can ask, managers can ask, how are you doing? How are you feeling about everything? Right. And so I think, the one-on-ones are the trade of managers, but that's why they're so important, is that there's an opportunity for a junior to share, how are they really doing? Right. And asking some of those important questions.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the other thing too is I also heard maybe in there, offering detailed feedback is another important thing. Instead of just saying, oh, your code's great. Well, maybe why it's good. Why is it working? Or why wouldn't we do this thing this way? And I think sometimes in the rush, maybe we forget to explain. And so it sounds like the other thing I heard in there was like detailed feedback.
Yeah.
To continue the growth process. Okay. So this might be hard, but I want to ask it anyway. Like, what's one misconception you think that people have about junior engineers or engineers entering, for the first time, their first job?
Okay. Let me think. About the misconception. Basically, here's it. Today junior, right? Tomorrow senior,
Mm.
right? So a lot of senior engineer or a lot of companies per se will really not want to hire a junior engineer because they said if we bring them on board, we have to train them, right? We have to hold their hand, like a baby. You give birth to a baby, you spoon feed the baby, you bathe the baby, and then the baby grows, and then one day that baby is taking care of you, right? So one of the misconceptions about the whole thing is people feel like investing in junior engineers are like sometimes they feel it's a waste of time, or at that moment they don't have the resources to actually do that or do it. But one thing is the senior engineer we all see today was once a junior engineer. So I think that's one misconception that a lot of people have, that junior engineer will not grow or won't grow to a senior engineer, will maybe forever remain a junior engineer, which is definitely not true. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, like in invest, like it's a well worth the investment, and that growth, can be pretty remarkable. Almost like they can really grow, especially with the right kind of support. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do think I do think it's a problem. Like, how do we want to invest in we do. I hear everybody, I want a senior engineer. I want a senior engineer. Well, when are you gonna, if you don't invest in the junior engineers, you're
Yes.
gonna run out of senior engineers
True. True.
at some point. And I think it is definitely, a problem of like, but then also how do we have the resources and the time and really baking that in so that, you know, so I'm the other thing I'm sort of like curious about is there anything that, let's talk specifically to, like, let's say our senior engineers or staff engineers or principal engineers who might be mentoring, not managing, but mentoring, more junior engineers. Is there anything in particular that they might keep in mind, or anything that someone did for you that really helped?
Yeah, sure. So when I was starting out, I had a mentor who actually dedicated time, because the
Mm.
truth is not everyone have time. People have things they do like outside work. Some people are married, so they have families. Some people have businesses and side stuff. So, but he was, I won't say he was single and only was just working in a company. So I think he had time and he dedicated time to see that me and some other people he was mentoring grow. And so when I mean time, he when he gives us like a task or something to do, he takes his time to sit and understand and the workflow, or understand how we came about such.
Mm.
Dedicating time, it might not be like 1 hour, it can be 10 minutes, it can be 15
Mm.
minutes, because at the end of the day, everybody just wants to have this. And it must not be like, face Zoom call or Google Meet. It can just be through emails, you know, maybe making the junior feel welcomed, meaning that the junior can always ask questions and always maybe just communicate. I think the communication is everything. The mentors can say, okay, I'm free at so and so time. So in case you have any questions or any challenges, you can always, reach out at this particular time. And then the junior can easily just compile things he has learned for that week or say, okay, oh, I have to reach out to my mentor at so time. And so that the junior don't just send message maybe when somebody is going to work or when somebody is having stand up at work, and then message is coming in from a mentor, from a mentee, and then the mentor probably won't answer to maybe after work hours, and then the junior is like, oh, he's ignoring me and all that. So I think communication is something that everything should be well communicated between both the mentor and the mentee, so they can talk about how they want the whole relationship or setting to be like. So yeah, I think communication is the key thing there.
I feel like so much comes back down to communication. I'm glad somebody else said it. I talk about it a lot, but I think that's so important. And so I heard in there too, communication and then dedicated time. And, I heard like a time to ask questions, but I'm also curious about, was pairing or watching them code, was that valuable for you at all? Or was it more being able to ask questions that was helpful?
Well, pairing and watching me code, I don't think we did that because
Mm,
it's time consuming, right? So
yep.
he probably
Yep.
say, okay, if you have this thing to do when you're done, if or you have any challenges in between, you can always reach out, and then when I'm chance during the day, we can look at it and see where you're probably having challenges. And so yeah, so maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then we are done.
Yeah, I love that too. Like even by email, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a big, set up a big
Sure.
call and take a lot of time, but make it in like small micro increments,
Yeah.
like 10 minutes or answering a Slack message or an email or a, whatever messaging platform they're using.
Yes.
So I guess my last question, and if anyone has any questions, please pop them in. Is there anything else that about the junior experience that you feel like more experienced engineers, managers, or leaders should know that we haven't talked about yet?
Not really, but one thing I can say is that junior engineers should be given a chance to grow, because right now there are a whole lot of junior engineers and there are lesser job for them, because tomorrow a senior engineer will retire, and then there will be lesser senior engineers and more junior developers in the market. So I think everyone in every company should at least find a way to hire junior engineers to enable them grow. Yeah, I think that's like the key thing.
Mm. Yeah, and I think too, I see some hope too in program, like some companies have programs specifically to support junior engineers and to support their growth so that it's built into, because I think a lot of times what happens is I think people mean well, but the goals, right? They have this goal and maybe they feel like I want to help a junior engineer, but maybe that's slowing me down. You know what I mean? Or like I have to reach this goal. How do I navigate, you know, supporting someone? And so I hope folks can, like companies will build more of those in there, build it in that like, and maybe into, like career maps or career ladders that, supporting junior engineers is really an important part of our culture. And it's
Yeah.
part of what you get evaluated on. Oh, we've got a question here. This is a great question. How do you encourage juniors to ask those questions or admit when they're stuck or struggling?
Mm. Okay, some people actually can be like an introvert. So some people are not used to, being outspoken. So like I said, communication is key, because if the senior who is, or maybe the manager or the mentor, can actually, communicate with the junior and say, look, this phase you're actually going through right now, or you're actually trying to, back on. It's something I've actually done years back, and so I have more experience. I can give you valuable insights in case you're stuck on anything. So communicating this whole thing to the junior and making him feel welcomed and saying that, okay, at any point in time you definitely face challenges, so but just know that you are not going through it alone, and you can always reach out to me if need be. So trying to communication. Let me not talk too much. So just communication. At the end of the day.
It's like make them feel safe and comfortable, like encourage them. And it's really okay to ask questions. It's really
Yes.
okay to not know. Because I do think sometimes we go and we know, like I don't have a lot of experience, but then we feel like we're supposed to know because people say things and they
Yes.
use terms and you're like, I think I'm supposed to know that, but I don't. And so then I think sometimes we get maybe we
Yeah.
get quiet about it or we get scared. We feel like we're supposed to know something. So that encouragement and that communication can really help them maybe feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's a really great question. I don't see any other questions in here. Thanks for your great question, Tim. I think that was really helpful. Thank you for joining us during this session. Amarachi will be joining us over on the LeadDev Slack channel where she'll be taking some questions. So head over to the Bookmarked channel where that will be taking place. Our next session will be April 5th. We'll be speaking with James Stanier on his book, Effective Remote Work. And on May 10th, we'll be talking with Kim Scott on her book, Just Work. Thanks again for being here.